Do whatever. I'll let
Ba,
you have
ba,
your list.
ba. The list is up. The garage band is up. Garage band is recording. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Yada da. Didn't we get copyrighted for us singing?
No.
Because like it's our own like interpretation, right? Their own.
There's
musical.
literal like people out there that do a cappella that make a ton of money off of recovering songs just in a cappella.
Do you think we could do that? Probably make money off acapella.
That's what Pentatonics used to do.
Do you want to start an acapella group?
We can. Oh, I thought that door was open, cracked for a second.
Come on in.
Come on in.
Come on in.
Can't wait to do a live show.
Dude, how cool would it be to do a live? It'd be, well, not in the dorm because people would probably be trolling. They'll like see that we're live and then troll. Oh yeah. All right, let's get started. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to the Bench to Mike podcast. I am Kale Foltz, also known as CF3.
I am also your host, Chris Cortez, also known as Chris Cortez.
And today we are bringing you the top 10 rivalries in college football.
These lists we made are subjective to our opinions. I don't know what criteria he used. My criteria, I went off of pop culture, history, hatred between both teams and fan bases, and my opinion on what's most exciting.
I went off of someone that's a D3 football player. I love D3. I've been in love with D3 for the last 2-3 seasons. I also haven't really watched a full NFL season since 2021, and most of my football knowledge comes from either Chris, people arguing at the lunch tables, or Instagram.
Oh my goodness! If only we placed parlays when we were all sitting at the lunch table back in grade school. That was
Crazy.
Peak ball knowledge.
Yes,
Peak ball knowledge.
absolutely. Me and my buddies at practice today, we were talking about we were trying to remember all the Madden and NCAA covers like from 2000 to now. We were like, oh, Madden 20s, Pat Mahomes, and like it was fun.
Odell had the best Madden cover, which that's not a bad video to make. Ranking all the Madden football covers.
I think we talked about this already. I'm pretty sure it's in the notes idea. Like, we have a notes.
I think
full ideas.
I think it is.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for the summer. That's definitely a summer video.
Absolutely. But also, I want to apologize for missing an episode last week. Chris and I were both very, very busy, and we just couldn't make no time.
Yeah, pretty much what happened was I had a lot of studying. He had some work, and we were going to film Friday. Then he got told Thursday night, I believe, was it, that they were leaving for Hanover on
1.
Friday at 1, and I was still in class. So, I mean, it is what it is. It happens.
Yeah. We told you guys things are subject to change, not only with the game days, but also with the podcast.
Yeah. But, man, are we making it up with an absolute banger today.
banger. A banger. All right, so we're going to start at number 10, work our way up to number 1, and then Chris has some honorable mentions that he thinks very important to at least mention because these programs and rivalries deserve some respect.
Absolutely.
Some aspect.
Gotta love college football rivalries. Honestly, I think at this point, college football rivalries are better than NFL rivalries. Like, I know people are always talking about Browns and Steelers or Packers and Bears and Browns and Bengals. They're great, but they just have lost the luster through the years. College football rivalries are still true to the bone, clean, old-fashioned hate. Without further ado,
Let's dive in.
number 10.
Number 10.
Rock, paper, scissors, who goes first?
Sure.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. All right.
You got it. Well, unless you want me to go.
I got it.
Okay, cool.
All right, number 10 for me. I got the one and only, the Backyard Brawl.
Ooh, what's that?
University of Pittsburgh versus West Virginia University. Mountaineers versus Panthers.
I didn't think about that one.
Love that rivalry so much. That is a rivalry where there is violence every single game. Players, fans fighting out in the parking lot. My goodness. Pitt leads all time 61-41, and then there's 3 ties. And a notable game, honestly, all of them were super memorable. I mean, the one at the beginning of the season this year was crazy. Pitt coming back from down 10 in the fourth quarter. Oh, my goodness. In Arcasure Stadium now is what it's called. But the one that I picked up, the one that everyone should know, 4-7 Pitt comes into Morgantown, West Virginia, second-ranked West Virginia, beats them 13-9. Then that is the 2007 West Virginia that had Pat White, and they were competing for their first ever national championship, and they choked it away on one of the final games of the season to Pitt. Oh, my goodness. Heartbreaking. But as a rivalry, that is a rivalry true to its core. Anybody can win, and that is why I have the Backyard Brawl at number 10. You can't leave it out. It's a great rivalry.
For me, this one was actually pretty unique. I got this actually from a couple of my buddies sitting at the lunch table here at Bluff University, and it was kind of a throwback. And this team's only played 5 times, and 3 of them were bowl games. You ready for this rivalry?
Whoa.
So it's not even like a rivalry like that, but a Georgia fan from Georgia who plays here at Bluffton thought it'd be very important to mention this. Texas versus Georgia, they hate each other.
I believe it. Especially after what happened this season.
Texas leads 4-1, I guess. 4-1.
Well, it's going to go deep because I don't see Texas or Georgia leaving the SEC anytime soon.
Yeah, they played in the Orange Bowl in 1949, the Cotton Bowl in 1984, and the Sugar Bowl in 2019, and those were massive, big-time games, big deals that my buddy still holds a lot of hate for. And so that's why I'm like, I got to put it in.
Got to put it in.
That's all I got for that one.
One memory I always have is Sam Ellinger, however you say the last name, holding up the trophy at the end of the Sugar Bowl going, "We're back." You ever seen that?
I did see that, yeah.
That is, oh my goodness, I love that. I love that. And then this year, of course, you had the pass interference that got uncalled because Texas fans threw all types of garbage on the field, and the refs went back, reviewed it, and turned over the call, which it was a bad call. But you cannot overturn pass interference penalties. You can't. I just think that's something to bring up.
Very important.
My number 9 rivalry, I actually I put it in here because of how deep-rooted it is in football culture, not because of how many views it gets every year, but I got to put Harvard and Yale. It is the original The Game, which we'll get to the other The Game in a little bit. But this The Game, Yale lead, that's not going to sound good. Hang on, I'm going to put my phone on silent. Yale leads all time 70-61 and 8.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I love this rivalry so much. One that I always think about is back in it might be the 60s or the 30s. I don't know. Way back when football was just running the ball. The game ended in a tie, 13-13. And the newspaper in Boston or /Cambridge, that's where Harvard University is, wrote in the newspaper, Harvard wins 13-13.
Why did it say that?
Because they didn't want to admit that they tied or lost.
Nice.
I just think that's great.
That is sweet, dude.
And then I just also love to think, because, corporate America, all of these students, that's where their future careers are. Let that be politicians, CEOs, very successful people at both universities. I always think of the protests they have at each game for whatever issues that's going on in the world. I think that's such a Harvard and Yale thing to do.
That is a Harvard and Yale thing to do. That's funny.
But that is my number 9, though. Harvard and Yale. Got to include it in whatever list you do.
My number 9 is another Georgia rivalry. And this is also for my buddy. Florida versus Georgia.
That's such a good one.
And simply because he told me, and also I see it here on Wikipedia because I also had to pull it up just to remember what it was called. The world largest outdoor cocktail party is what they call. They call that their tailgate because it's a bunch of rich people down in Jacksonville. I guess it attracts people from all over the country, and it's one of the biggest tailgatings in college football. Now, Chris, is that for sure? You know that for sure? Okay,
yes.
So see, for me, I don't really know, but I thought that was the funniest thing to call a tailgating. They've met 103 times per Georgia, 102 times per Florida. I guess they won't admit that. They won't admit that they've played each other more than 102, whatever. What's the all-time record? I just had it pulled up.
I'm gonna say I think it's that way because Georgia said they played more because in that record they've won one more game, I believe.
Okay.
They've won 57 times and Florida's won 56 times according to both schools.
The all-time record is 57-44, Georgia leading.
Yeah.
And 2 ties. But yeah, both these last 2 have been solely based off my friend from Georgia, and he thought they were very important to mention. Shout out to you, man.
Oh, absolutely. I love the world's largest cocktail party, which is why I have it at number 8. Basically everything you just said. World's largest outdoor cocktail party, as you just heard. I have the per Georgia stats because there's 103 games that were played according to Georgia, so I just went with that. But according to Georgia, they're leading 57-54 with 2 ties. Georgia has one less win, so do the math. I guess to add on to that, I mean, you pretty much hit everything. One game I always think about is remember back in football when we were playing high school football, our head coach would show us the video of Georgia celebrating after the first touchdown that they scored in the world's largest cocktail game.
Yeah.
And it was like, this is when they won the game, and this is how we should be celebrating, because everybody on the team was going and celebrating in the end zone. That is the one memory I always think about when I see this game.
I actually forgot that we saw that as a team. I forgot that happened.
Yeah, I just think that was incredible. Other than that, though, it's never, I don't know. It's either a blowout or it's pretty close. This year it was really close, with Florida really underachieving this year, but they were within a touchdown, then they blew the game to Georgia this year.
Tisk.
But yeah, great rivalry though. I bet there's a lot of great fights out in the parking lot. I always like to see the pictures of Georgia fans grilling or deep frying alligator in the parking lot.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So my number 8 is the Rocky Mountain Showdown, Colorado versus Colorado State. And the reason is I was a glorified Colorado bandwagon this last season when Deion went to Colorado. Big fan of Travis Hunter, big fan of Shedeur Sanders. Love Deion Sanders and what he represents as a coach. Love him as a coach, and also someone that does social media and is also a communication major. I love. They probably the best media team in college football, arguably.
Yep, absolutely.
So that was always a big draw to me. The all-time series lead is to Colorado, 69-22-2.
Oh.
Colorado State is the most north, I guess, in the rivalry. Colorado State's up north, Colorado, and then very close to Denver. They're actually really close to the NFL Denver Broncos Stadium. That's kind of weird how close they are.
Aren't they in Boulder, I believe? It's like a little suburb outside of Denver.
Yeah, they're right outside.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool, actually. But yeah, I just thought it was very important to mention as someone that was a bandwagon. And also, rivalries, if it's a true rivalry, it should get the fans involved, right? When that Colorado State safety laid out Travis Hunter right in the ribs and made him like collapse on the field, the man got death threats.
Oh my goodness, it was horrible.
That is the definite. I mean, it's terrible, and I absolutely don't agree with it. But that is what a rivalry is.
Yep.
If you have the fan base coming after you for a play you made in football and threatening your family, I'm quitting the team. I'm no longer a fan of football.
Yeah.
Like I'm not even trying to joke about it, but at the same time, I'm trying to make a joke out of it. Like that's what a rivalry is. Honestly, it should be higher on my list, but like I just think that is what a rivalry is.
Mm-hmm. And I think the addition of Deion Sanders and co. has definitely rekindled this rivalry, because it has been so one-sided. Colorado just kills them every single year. But I think with what happened last season, it really relit the fire that was the Rocky Mountain Showdown. I definitely agree. And kudos to Travis Hunter for being the bigger person, I guess, here, and kind of saving that guy.
Yeah, making that video with him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, that was good stuff.
Number 7, Chris.
Number 7.
Number 5. Burger King foot lettuce. Okay, good.
Number 7. Give me the battle for the Jules Shillelagh. I don't know if that's what it's called anymore, but in my NCAA 2003 football game, that is what it was called. Notre Dame versus USC. Lots of memorable players, lots of memorable games. Notre Dame leads all time, 49-37, and 5 ties. A memorable game I have last year. USC going to Notre Dame and getting upset by the Fighting Irish with no defense, and Notre Dame just running wild and holding Caleb Williams. That is a game I honestly think about every time I hear Notre Dame versus USC now. Like, I just, out of all the games that I've watched, that's the one. And, of course, this is before my time because I'm a young boy. Reggie Bush, the Bush Push. You ever heard of that? You ever seen that play?
I have seen that play.
The Bush Push. Highly controversial because at the time, I don't think it was considered legal, right? But they let it stand anyway.
They did. Sorry, I'm looking up something real quick.
No, you're good. You pull up your stuff. But yeah, those are definitely two of the ones that I wanted to bring up here that I thought were pretty significant. And I'm sure there are more, but those are the two that come to my mind. Caleb, what is your number 7?
What is my number 7, Chris? Swing and a miss. This is my first D3 rivalry.
Oh.
And it's probably one of the oldest D3 rivalries. And if anybody knows it, you can't even be a D3 football. You don't even have to be a D3 football fan to start this off here. But everybody knows Mount Union and Whitewater are probably the two most notable teams, D3, right? And everyone knows of the Wabash and DePaul rivalry, the battle for the Moan and Bell. Everyone knows that. If you're not a D3 fan, everyone knows the battle for the Moan and Bell. And it all started with how Wabash, no one could beat Wabash back in the day, back in the heyday. And so DePaul frat guys went over and carried a 400-pound bell back to the university because they simply couldn't win it. Because they traded. It's like the hammer for Defiance Blood. They trade it after every win. DePaul could just not win it back. And so they just went and stole it.
That's crazy.
A 400-pound bell.
That's crazy.
400-pound bell. They walked it back to the university. Crazy. And Wabash leads 56-34-6 with a .615 winning percentage.
So they kind of dominate then.
Yeah. I mean, nowadays I think it's DePaul. DePaul is insane nowadays. But back in the heyday, Wabash was the university to go to. So obviously, yeah, as a D3 fan, you have to mention one of the best and longest running rivalries in D3 football.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe they're both in the Hoosier state, aren't they? They're both Indiana schools, so there's kind of interstate hate there too.
I thought DePaul was Southern Ohio. Maybe I'm wrong, though. Is it? Where's DePaul University? Let's look it up. Where is DePaul? I'm pretty sure most of the NCAC is... Oh, it's Indiana. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, that's a good one. I didn't even think of that one. Where are we at? Number 6. Number 6.
Number 6.
Army Navy. Give it to me.
Oh, I had that ranked higher, Chris. But there you go.
Hey, I definitely am not disagreeing with anybody that wants to put it higher. I just think there are 5 other rivalries that are better. But Army Navy leading 62-55 and 7 ties. The pranks. One of the pranks I remember, I believe Army took the Navy goat and like redressed it in Army clothes, I believe, because Navy's mascot's a goat.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the pranks I remember. Lots of memorable games, low scoring. Can't remember the last time a team hit 20 points. I'm sure that probably happened recently, but as far as I know, it's always 17-14. A game that I always think of, though, I believe it was 2 or 3 years ago, because I'm trying to remember. I was at a concert with my girlfriend when this happened. The guy for Navy fumbled the ball, and they were up with like a few seconds left. I believe Army either picked it up and scored a touchdown, or they picked it up, then the next play, they scored a touchdown, and they lost the game. That's one of the all-time memories I have from this game. But my goodness, the pageantry, the uniforms, and man, just having the pride of singing. Because at the end of the game, both schools sing their alma maters, but the winner gets to go first. The winner sings their alma mater first.
Oh, that's like rubbing it in. That's like rubbing it in.
It is. It is a way of rubbing it in. And oh, man, and just that being your last ever memory of college football before you're shipped off to wherever, being deployed. I just think that's such a great rivalry, and it should never die. And while I love the 12-team college football playoff this year, I think it is a disservice to college football of not having Army-Navy weekend by it being invaded by other games.
Is it actually going to be?
Yeah. There's other games that weekend.
Shame on you.
Yeah. Shame on you guys.
Or at least make it its own weekend. Like they try to move stuff around.
I'm saying, make it like Sunday.
Don't ruin traditions by trying to make something new.
Yeah, but and then the president shows up often, like almost all the time.
How's Army and Navy doing like, as of right now?
This one's gonna be an all-timer. This one's gonna be one where you're gonna want to watch because Army's undefeated, ranked in the top 25, and Navy is 5-2, I believe. They were ranked going into 2 weeks ago. Got blown up by Notre Dame. Went unranked, and they choked against Rice last week. And so
what's their what weekend is that? What weekend will they play Army and Navy? I can look-y live stream it.
I think it's the weekend before the conference championship weekend. I think it's that weekend. Either that or
area? Like what time area is that? Like what dates?
Hang on, I'm gonna look. Hang on.
He's going to look at that because now we're curious. We're curious on the date for the conference championship. And if you have to see Army versus Navy live stream, leave in the comments. Leave a like. Let us know.
Another thing I gotta mention too about it, just seeing two triple option offenses play each other.
Oh,
I don't know. There's so much goes into Army Navy. You gotta love it. You gotta love it when they're either bowl eligible, ranked, or they're both 0-11, and whoever wins comes out with a win, and the other finishes winless.
why are they so good this year versus terrible every other year?
I don't know.
Do Army and Navy
Coaching.
players get? Do they get 4 years
December
to play?
14th.
Oh yeah, we're live streaming that. But do Army and Navy players do they get to play 4 years of college football before they go and serve?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Another thing too, everybody goes to college for free at both schools.
Okay,
Tuition's
because
free.
do they have football scholarships, or is it just like, oh, you're going to the Army, so you're free?
I don't know. I know you can be recruited because my mom taught somebody. I don't think they played for Army, but they did get an offer from Army. But I don't know.
Does
the
the Army
whole
get? Do they get
logistics of that.
NIL?
I'd have to imagine that because they're an NCAA football team. They're under that umbrella. I'd have to imagine they.
There's
get
got to be so many
NIL.
complications because you're working for the government and you're a student and you're a NCAA football player. There's got to be so many weird rules you got to follow.
Free schooling though, but I don't know how that recruiting works then.
Well, you can no longer go to the NFL from Army now too.
I didn't know that.
They just passed that this last because there was like a corner there that was insane last year, and he's trying to transfer out, but like it's like his 3rd year of Army, and he has to break his contract or whatever, and like it was a big deal in the news. It was a big deal for like a good month, I think, Chris.
I haven't seen that. I'll have to read up on.
It might have been
but
actually
yeah,
my
that's-
freshman year now that I think about that.
That's pretty crazy though.
Yeah, no, I don't think anybody from Army or Navy can no longer go to the NFL without serving their contract first.
Wow. Well, I think that's been a thing up until like a few years ago when they changed it to when you could play, but then I think they reverted it back. Like it's always been that way, I think.
Because that guy wanted to leave. That corner either wanted to transfer or he wanted to leave for the draft, and they were like, "Nah, you got to serve your term first."
Yeah.
Anyways, we'll get into that. That's a discussion for a later time. Mine is it number 6 now?
Yes.
Mine is another time period and playoff rivalry that I think you just can't look over, I guess. 2000 to 2010s era, Whitewater versus Mount Union in the playoffs. That is the definition of
I
D3
agree.
football. So they have played a total of 12 times, 6 wins, 6 losses. The last time they played each other was in 2015, and it was the Natty, and Mount won 36-6. That was the second most recent national championship that Mount Union has won, because they went in 2015 and won, lost in 2016, and won 2017, and has lost every other playoff run since. Hopefully Mount pulls together this year, though. I'm rooting for you guys. Love all my Mount boys. Yeah, I mean, the rivalry, there's nothing crazy about it, but if you know Larry Karras, which I was actually coached by Larry Karras, because Larry Karras would come and mess around with us JV receivers and give us a hard time for fun. And he also always rubbed my shoulders in the meeting room. 70, 80-year-old Larry Karras over here rubbing my shoulders. Pause. But great man, even better coach, terrifying coach. I heard he was even scary when I guess he's gotten soft at his old age, which I believe. But like, he is a great man. I love and I'm grateful that I got to spend 3 semesters with Larry Karras, an all-time. Well, the all-time isn't all-time leading winning coach in all divisions. He has some sort of record like that.
I don't think it's in wins, but it's in win percentage because it's like in the 900s and nobody even sniffs that.
Yeah, like he was an insane coach for the longest time out Union, and Whitewater just always was able to match him. And Whitewater was his biggest challenge. I think most of his losses are actually to Whitewater. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
so
that's pretty. That is a crazy rivalry though. That's like Lakers Celtics type stuff.
If you need to like a good pump up to get ready for the game, go watch the Tavon Austin highlight reel and go watch a Mount Union versus Whitewater recap in the national championship game. Watch the one in 2003, and there's one actually I can pump the years right now. Go watch the one in 2003, 2009, and then 2013, 2014. Those were some great games that I watched personally on YouTube. They're on YouTube. Go check them out. I'll put you on some. If you want to feel pumped and feel ready for a game, go watch those.
Oh yeah.
Look at you ready.
Good stuff. Good stuff with that. I love rivalries that are based off like just pure playoff matchups.
Because when these guys play each other, it's
for a championship.
It's win or go home.
Yep.
Burn the boats, baby.
It's for a
Not
championship.
going back.
Top 5 now?
Top 5.
Number 5.
Number 5. Burger King foot lettuce.
The Red River Shootout, which I think they changed it recently it's called the Red River Rivalry now, but on my old NCAA game, it's called the Red River Shootout. Texas versus Oklahoma. Texas leads all time 64-51 in 5 ties. This is a heck of a game. Always played every year in the old Cotton Bowl Stadium. I don't know why I said it like a Texan. Cotton Ball. But no, it's played in Cotton Bowl Stadium down in Dallas, Texas. Crazy games have been played year in, year out. Oklahoma has had more recent success, though, due to their 3 straight Heisman winners in Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, and then I believe who else won it? Another guy won it. Or was it just back-to-back Heisman winners? I don't know. We'll revisit that. But Texas has been climbing back, though. But a game that I guess not a stretch of games I wanted to bring up. 2018, Texas wins because of Cameron Dicker, a.k.a. Dicker the Kicker. That was his actual nickname in college.
Hell yeah.
Won the game with a game-winning field goal, 48-45. Texas wins in the first matchup. They were both so good, and this was like the year that the Big 12 implemented the top 2 teams. They did away with divisions, and the top 2 teams in the conference would play in the conference championship. They played each other again, and then Oklahoma just wrecked them. Oklahoma won the game 37-27 or 39-27. I just think right there that was like the peak of the rivalry. Losing to your rival in a regular season game in a close, hard-fought match, then just absolutely blowing the doors off them in the conference championship.
That is amazing.
I think that was like the height of the rivalry.
I wonder what the turnaround was for them. Like what happened within the team that made them turn around that well in terms of talent and functioning and execution, whatever.
I'm not trying to think who it was. Either Kyler or Baker that was the quarterback in 2018.
Well, I bet it was Baker because if Baker was going off, then
yeah,
I'll believe that.
That is my number 5, though. The Red River Shootout. Golden Hat Trophy. Gotta love it. The winning quarterback always gets to wear it. I always think of Baker Mayfield in those pictures back in their 2000s, like 2015, 2016, with him wearing the golden hat after the game after blowing the doors off of Texas.
That is pretty funny.
And then
it's like an ultimate troll.
Yeah. Then you got the Oklahoma players every time they scored. I remember CeeDee Lamb scoring a touchdown and giving the horns down to the Texas student section. Oh, I love the Red River Shootout.
Oh, my Lord. For me, my number 5 is my last D3 rivalry before moving on to the bigger divisions. Cortland versus Ithaca, the history of the Cortica Jug, and known as the biggest little game in the nation because they play in, what stadium is it again? Is it a giant, it's an MLB stadium, isn't it? It's a giant, it's MetLife, I'm sorry, MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. Dude, if you want to go to a massive D3 football game, this is probably the biggest in the country. Well, next to a Whitewater game. Whitewater keeps breaking records, especially this year. Whitewater's broken 2 D3 attendance records this year.
Oh, we got to go to a Whitewater game.
We have to, but historically, the Cortica Jug rivalry is known as normally the biggest like D3 game in the country. It's in New Jersey, MetLife Stadium.
I believe I've seen somewhere it's getting played in Yankee Stadium this year, but I could be wrong.
I think it is going to as well. It's mentioned something like that here. But Ithaca leads 41-33-3. And that includes games prior to before it was a rivalry, before it was called the Cortica Jug. The Cortica Jug is literally it's now 3 jugs. That's how long this game's been played. They're on their 3rd jug, riding the year, and then who won on the jug. There's 3 jugs now.
That's awesome.
Because me and Chris were talking at the Miami versus Cincy game of like what happens when the bell fills up, but obviously that rivalry's over now. Probably.
Yeah. Tragic.
But the bell was almost filled up. I'm like, what happens? Do they get a new bell or do they get like 2 bells then?
I don't know.
But these guys have 3 jugs because there's so many.
Imagine being that deep, such a deep-rooted rivalry, being involved in one like that you just run out of trophies to use. So you have to just keep getting new trophies because you play each other so many times.
I think it should make sense though that whoever's named on the last jug should keep it. Like if Ithaca won the first, like the last game on the first jug, they should keep the first jug and they should move on to the second. They should swap that back and forth.
Fun fact: the Battle of I-75 did do that because they actually had a trophy before the current trophy. It was called the Peace Pipe Trophy. And the last ever game that was played with the Peace Pipe Trophy, Toledo won, and they just let him just keep the trophy because they changed trophies. Wow. So that has been implemented before.
Sweet. So in terms of the location of the game, it's always been very unique. It's been Cortland, Ithaca going back and forth, playing at their home stadiums. And then for the first time in 2019, they played at MetLife Stadium. Then there was COVID. Then they played at Cortland in 2021. And then in 2022, they played at Yankee Stadium. And in 2023, they played back at Ithaca. And then, like I said, I think this year they're going back to Yankee Stadium. So very cool, very exciting stuff. Probably one of my favorite D3 rivalries. And Cortland, the Red Dragons, the coolest mascot in D3 football.
What a logo. I remember watching them play in the national championship with him while he visited me at work and we had it on the TV. I love their logo. That was the first time I ever got to see their logo. Such a cool logo.
Yeah. They don't do their uniforms justice, though, for being the Dragons. Like, the uniforms are so bland.
Yeah.
But hopefully they upgrade now. Are they even in the top 25 this year?
I don't know.
I don't think they are.
Are they bad this year?
I don't think they're bad. But I don't remember seeing I looked at the top 25 like a little while ago. I don't remember seeing them, but maybe I'm wrong. I might be wrong. There's a lot of good teams in D3 this year. A lot of randomly good teams in D3 this year. So
yeah, well, that could be due to a lot of the closures, so the students have to go somewhere else, and
yeah, that's true. A lot of transfers, and also if you have 3 of your players go to the NFL in the same year, is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe the one that was played in MetLife, that was like the largest attended D3 football game ever.
But yeah, but now that they got broken by Whitewater this year twice.
But the one in MetLife had like 40K, didn't it?
Whitewater.
I think that was the one.
Well, Whitewater.
I think Whitewater's the on-campus record.
Oh, okay. Well, they broke that record twice this year, which is still crazy.
It's crazy to have that many people show up to your campus. I can't imagine.
Maybe. Hey, 5th year at Whitewater, let me know. Imagine playing for Mount Union and Whitewater at the same time in your career.
Oh, well, school's gonna the school that you've started with is gonna hate you.
Yeah, well, they already do. But I told you about the one guy. He was a backup at Mount for 2 years. He was a backup QB as a freshman, sophomore, and then transferred to Mary Hardin Baylor and won a natty against Mount Union with like.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because he won. He was the QB that beat them in 2021 in the natty. But he was the backup at Mount Union.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I think I told you about that like a while ago. But yeah, imagine doing that.
Okay, number 4, right?
Yep, number 4.
Who's left? Oh, yes, there we go. That's a good one. Florida State versus Miami. This is a newer rivalry.
I've never even heard of it, to be honest with you. I've never heard that.
Oh, my goodness. This is such a good rivalry. Deion Sanders, prime time, taking on guys like Michael Irvin, Warren Sapp. Oh my goodness!
That sounds
the Hall of Famers that have been involved in this rivalry is insane.
I forget those guys played in college. I'm like, I could just picture them as NFL beasts. You know, I don't even picture them as like college.
Yeah, Miami leads the all-time rivalry, 36-33. No ties, believe it or not. I could be wrong. Let me know. Notable games that I picked though, I got 3 of them, and each of them have a pretty good name. 91, 92, and 2000 for Miami and Florida State fans. One side, this brings back great memories, and the other side, this is triggering a lot of PTSD. And in that respective order, they are called Wide Right 1, 2, and 3. All of which were won by Miami.
Oh, wow.
So in 1991, Gary Thomas, the kicker at the time for Florida State, missed a game-winning field goal, and they lost 17-16 to Miami. 92, Dan Mowry missed a game-tying field goal, and they lost that game to that at the time, the defending national champions. So in 91, Florida State could have knocked off Miami. So they won the Natty that year, and then they lost to Miami again, 19-16 in 92 because of Dan Mowry. That was Wide Right 1 and 2. Then in 2000, defending national champions Florida State at the time with Chris Winkie at quarterback. Great quarterback, by the way, for those that follow college football. Really hardcore. I believe he won the Heisman. They lost 27-24 that year because Matt Munyon missed a game-tying field goal. Again. And there's just been so many more. Because I can recall Miami being up by a couple scores back when I was growing up in elementary. I stayed up late one Saturday night waiting to watch Jameis Winston take on a Miami team that was on the come up. That game was awesome. And I remember, who was the running back for Florida State? Dalvin Cook. That game they won by a touchdown. Dalvin Cook runs for like over 200 yards, about 300 yards against Miami. And this year, of course, was an absolute barn burner with Cam Ward, a Heisman hopeful, just blowing the doors off of Florida State. I don't know. This rivalry is everything. And I can't believe that there's only been like 99 games played. Or, excuse me, not 99, 69 games played. I just think that's crazy.
That's sick.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Love this rivalry.
My number 4 is simply a very personal one to me. And it absolutely does not deserve to be number 4 on this list, but it's my number 4 because of my love for Chris and my buddy who goes to Toledo. I guess I kind of gave up the name. But the Battle of I-75, BG versus Toledo, simply because my freshman year, my buddy Chris here, and my buddy Aiden, shout out to you, Aiden. They were at the game together. and it wasn't like raining, or it was
snowing.
It was snowing. It was rough weather, and they called me after the game. I think Chris left like a voicemail or a voice message because I was sleeping because I was getting ready for I think I was tired after my game or something I just didn't answer. And then Chris is so excited about the game or whatever happened. I don't remember what happened that year, but like I just remember hearing Chris's joy or like a frustration. What was it? What was the emotions, Chris?
Ecstatation. That's not a word, but I was very
ecstatic,
very pleased.
Yeah, and I just loved it. And it's Chris always talks about BG season and how it's going. I consider myself kind of a BG fan, but I mean, like, I'm more focused on my own season. But I love hearing about how BG's doing, and I love hearing about the BG and Toledo rivalry. So it's just a personal favorite. It makes me happy. It makes me feel like I'm at home, especially when I was 2.5 hours away, focusing on my college football career. So, I mean, it's absolutely nothing to do with the rivalry itself, but it's something that's local to me and personal with my friend.
Oh, you got to go to one of those games, man.
I really want to.
It should have. I don't know. If this was a group of 5 list, oh my goodness, this is probably in my top 5, if not higher. If this was solely based off of a group of 5 rivalries, but didn't make my top 10 list, unfortunately. But yeah, so many good games. Toledo leads, I believe, 43, 42,
and 4.
And 4. So
it's also called the Black Swamp Showdown.
Yep, Black Swamp Showdown and there's been 2 trophies. Used to have the Peace Pipe Trophy. Toledo still kept it because they keep it forever because they won the last ever game that was played for it. Now they have a different trophy, which in my opinion looks a lot better. Got to see it in person at the last game. It was pretty cool. Just so many memorable moments going to that game. It brings both communities together because the campuses are literally 20 minutes apart. You got to love action rivalries like that, small rivalries like that. It's crazy. And the players and the fans do hate each other. Oh, my goodness. My freshman year was the first time I've ever seen an actual fight break out during a college football game.
What?
Because when Bowling Green scored their first ever touchdown, it was right in front of us when we were sitting in the Toledo student section. Everyone was giving the bird, saying some stuff we can't say on air, and the Toledo and BG players were literally throwing down in the end zone. And it was like 5 minutes into the first quarter. Absolute nothing but hatred in this rivalry. It is awesome. And if you guys are ever in the area, if there's one rivalry I can recommend when it comes to October, definitely come to a Battle of I-75 because you will not be disappointed.
Sick.
Absolutely.
Number 3, Chris.
Number 3, the third Saturday in October, Alabama and Tennessee.
Ooh, that's a good one. Tell me about that, Chris.
Oh my goodness. Which, man, I was really debating putting this at number 2. Because, okay, there's one clear number 1, but this, I don't know. I could see both arguments for this being number 2 and the other one, or number 3. But Alabama leads all time 59-40-7, and it does not matter. Throw the records out the window because even when Saban had these guys ranked number 1, Tennessee always hung in there. Even when he had that massive, 15-game winning streak, Tennessee would always lose by 7 or less points. Even when Tennessee was at their absolute worst, when they go 3-9, 4-8, the games would shockingly go I remember one game when it was during Derrick Henry's Heisman run, they only beat Tennessee 13-7. There's just been such close games. But one game I do have in mind, it was our freshman year of college when Tennessee finally beat them for the first time in 15 years. And it was when they tore down the goalposts in Knoxville. And they dumped them in the Tennessee River.
That is so sick, dude. That is awesome. I didn't know that.
That is one of the greatest games I've ever seen.
I saw Instagram went crazy over that.
Oh, my goodness. Hendon Hooker, not the best NFL career so far. I think he's a backup, or I don't know if he's a free agent or not. But that guy will forever have that to hang on to. And if I was him, I would do the same thing. That was one of the most memorable moments of the 2020s in college football so far. I think you remember it too, don't you?
I do remember it.
My goodness. That stadium, everybody just flooding the field.
Yeah,
and
there were so many pictures and videos that came from that. Instagram went nuts over it.
Yeah, and everyone lighting cigars because the streak was over. Oh, my goodness. What a game. What a moment in American sports.
The only argument Alabama had was you have a 25-year-old quarterback or something like that. It was that was the only argument they had about losing.
Yeah. And now with Saban gone, Alabama losing some recruits, I think this rivalry, I think it might shift, but the games are still so close, ever so close, because this year was almost just as good as the last one.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Tennessee won again,
Ooh.
and it was ended with like a Jalen Milroe. He came up short with like a quarterback keeper or something like that. I don't know.
I saw
Great
that.
game.
I saw that actually. Now that you say that, I
Yeah.
saw that.
Great games. One of the games I would recommend anybody taking a foreigner to if you're taking them to a college football game for the first ever time. This is one of the few games I would tell them they have to go watch to experience college football.
Great.
Yep.
My number 3, Army versus Navy. Chris covered everything really well, and he took all my points. So,
Like I said, I agree with that. You know, I had him. I think I had him at 7, if I remember correctly, and I said it myself. Like I totally get it for putting him higher. I'm not gonna argue. I love the rivalry.
Cold seat hot take here, though, Chris. Could you call the Army versus Navy game America's game? Everyone can root for Army versus Navy. Everyone can have like a side.
I do call it an America's game.
I mean, everyone in America appreciates our Army for protecting us.
Yeah.
Or our veterans for protecting us. So I feel like everyone has some sort of relative that served in some aspect.
Absolutely.
Like my grandpa was an Army veteran, so I mean, I guess if I was gonna root for someone, I'd root for Army.
Absolutely. And I think it's so cool, but seeing people that didn't even go to either school but still served in that respective branch still support that respective branch in the game. Like
I know, like
my
people like
grandpa,
that.
yeah, like my grandpa didn't go to college, or both of them. Neither of them went to college. They both served in the Vietnam War in the Army. They don't follow Army football at all, but when that game's on, they watch, and they are diehard Army fans.
You kind of argue Army college. I mean, yes, it's like the smart people in the Army, right? And like a lot of, not the foot soldiers, right? But like you can kind of argue it's like they represent the tradesmen and the workforce of the world, of the Army of the country, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anyways, too much diving into it, but you're number 3. Or number 2, sorry.
Number 2. Like I said, at this point, because of recency bias, this could be interchangeable with the third Saturday in October, but I have the Iron Bowl.
That was mine.
Okay, well, I guess we can cover it together then. Alabama leads this 50-37 and 1 tie. I just put this at 2 because of how many more memorable moments there are.
There are so many. Like there's the one field goal return.
Yeah, the kick
from
6.
like 2013, wasn't it? Or like, well, how long? And it still goes viral every year around this time.
Yeah,
you know, every year.
That was one of my first ever memories of watching college football. Like,
dude,
that was
it was my first.
That was like one of the moments that got me into watching college football.
That is college football. This defines college football. This rivalry. It really does.
Yeah, that I love it. The kick 6, the Cam back in 2012 when Cam Newton came back down 28-0.
Yes.
I remember the year that UCF claimed the national championship when they beat Auburn. Auburn beat the eventual national champions Alabama that year, like 44-41. It is always a heck of a game. And the most recent one last year, Isaiah Bond fourth and a mill row. Remember that game?
Fourth and a mill row.
Isaiah Bond ripping the hearts out of Auburn fans all over the world with that game-winning touchdown. Oh my goodness, that's such a good rivalry. Like, that's another one. Like I said, one of the few games I would ever recommend to someone bringing a foreigner that's never watched football, American football before. Take them to the Iron Bowl.
I will say one thing I am looking forward to when my college career is done, because like as a player, you just have like no free time, and also when you practice and have meetings all week, the last thing you want to do is turn the game on. Yeah. And so it's like I cannot wait to be done playing. I mean, I want to keep playing, but to be done playing and actually be able to turn on the game and be like, this is college football, so I want to watch them.
And just like actually be able to watch and sit back and enjoy it.
Yeah, rather than have to worry about going to a meeting at 7:30 at night. You know,
instead like make a couple of hamburgers, make some dip with some nachos,
kiss the wife and pat the dog.
That's all I want out of life, man.
Enough for number 1, Chris.
My number 1, with no surprise at all to anybody, one of the great rivalries in all of sports, Ohio State and Michigan.
I took mine.
Yep. The game.
I think everyone in the country can admit this is probably
the game. And of course Michigan leads all time 61-51 with 6 ties. This is a game where you can turn around an 0-11 season, and it's still a success if you win that one game.
I think
And
that's
this is
all
also
matters,
a game. Yeah, and this is also a game where if you're coming in 11-0 and you lose this game, doesn't matter what happens in the postseason. It's a failure of a season if you lose this game. This is the one game I can truly say for any college football team, it doesn't matter what your record is, your entire season rides on whether or not you lose this game. If you're 0-11 and you win and you're 1-11 and this is your win, you had a good season.
And you talk about fans that want to kill each other. Like I talked about the Colorado versus Colorado State. Like it's a bunch of college kids and stuff like wanting to kill each other.
Yeah.
These are 50, 40-year-old men
That
ready to go to war. Ready to go to war.
Oh, my goodness. I got my first taste of this rivalry back in my freshman year of college. One of my good buddies, he's in the Army now, but we decided to go to this game. We got the tickets. It was, and my goodness, if you want to go to this game, regardless of where it's taking place, you are going to be breaking the bank.
Buy a ticket 3 years out.
Yeah, buy your ticket like a decade out. Because we bought it back in January, so this is what, like 9 months before the season started.
Yep.
Yeah. 9 months before the season even started, and we spent like $316 or $60 on it.
That's more than an NFL game right there.
For the very, very back.
How much was front row, Chris? How much was front row? Do you have any idea?
A car loan.
Your tuition?
Your tuition?
Private school tuition, $40,000.
You better drop out of college because this is what's going to cost the rest of your schooling.
But just you wait when the BTM podcast gets invited for sideline passes to that game.
Oh, and we're at that point we just got to strap on a GoPro to both of us.
My GoPro just came in. Stay tuned for GoPro content.
Stay tuned for that. But oh my goodness, and every season there's just memorable moments. The game that I was at, Michigan ended a 20-year drought against Ohio State, winning in Columbus. Because at the time, I think the last time they won in Columbus was either 2001 or 2003. And I was at that game with my buddy, and oh my goodness, you want to talk about how much hatred that everyone in Ohio has for Michigan. After the game, by the way, J.J. McCarthy planting the Michigan flag on the 50-yard line just sums up the rivalry, in my opinion. But outside of the stadium, there was garbage everywhere. Property was broken. Didn't see any fires, but there were just alcoholic beverages just poured out, garbage everywhere, broken tables, broken like property. Just it was trashed. It just looked like a riot broke out because fans were mad. And there were fights breaking out. And there were people like sending death threats to Michigan fans after the game.
God.
Like they were taught, oh my goodness.
I have a question. There's one, I think it was last season's game. I can't remember which side it was. It was like during a goal line stand. And like, was it a Ohio State DB going after two Michigan linemen? And the Michigan linemen were like punching the DB in the face, or was it the other way around? Was it a Michigan DB? It was either a game.
2019.
It was that long ago? I mean, because people are still making shorts with it about like me and my bro standing up for people use like for memes and stuff still.
2019.
Was that? Wow, I'm old. I thought it was last season.
No, time flies, but yeah, no, that. Oh my goodness. I know what you're talking about though. That was
what side was it? Was it Michigan
O-lineman? The Michigan O lineman and the Ohio State DB.
Yeah, but that Ohio State DB was taking it like a champ.
Yeah, he did.
Because those linemen towered over this dude. I mean, they were huge.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Now, of course, us being from Ohio, it's stream. Of course, it's nationally streamed, but it's on our local broadcast everywhere in Ohio. So, a few memorable games I have because my dad's a huge Michigan fan, so it's always on in our house. So a couple games I remember. 2016, Ohio State wins in double overtime. That's probably that's not the best game that I've seen out of this. I'll get to that in a minute. But that one, JT Barrett taking on, I don't remember the quarterback from Michigan's name, but that was the game where Curtis Samuel walks it off in double overtime to seal the win 30-27. That was a heck of a game. I think Ohio State was ranked 2 and Michigan was ranked 3 or vice versa. And and Ohio State still on the field. Another game, 2011, or it might have been 2012, one of those 2 years. I think it might have been 2012. Where was it? I don't know. 2020. It was either 2012 or 2013. Ohio State at Michigan. Final score. And mind you, Ohio State undefeated, ranked number 2 in the country. Michigan was unranked, and they were like 5-7, 6-5.
A rough year to be a Wolverine.
Yeah. Ohio State won by a point, 43-42, because Michigan went for 2 after they scored a touchdown. This was Devin Gardner taking on Braxton Miller.
Braxton Miller was a dog.
Oh my goodness.
Dog.
That guy, when we were in elementary, like when we were in grade school,
Everyone watches highlights.
everyone watched Braxton Miller.
NCAA 14.
The B button he hit against Virginia Tech, the spin move. Oh my goodness! What?
He was a spin move machine, though. He could just glide. He just glide on turf, dude.
If there was one player that I guess encapsulated all of our childhoods being Ohio kids going to a small high school in Ohio, Braxton Miller was probably our childhood college football player.
I would have to agree.
Absolutely. But yeah, no, that game though, a brawl broke out and like early in the second half on like the kickoff. It was one of the kickoffs in the second half. A huge brawl. Like 4 guys got ejected from the game. I've never seen anything like that before in my life. And then the game, nobody ever had it. Nobody was ever up by more than a touchdown because the defenses just did not show up. And then, of course, Devin Gardner scores a touchdown with like no time left on the clock, and they wanted to go for 2 for the win. And then, of course, they didn't. And I believe like the game-winning call was Tyvis Powell saves the season or something like that. I don't know. So many great memories. Far and away the best college football rivalry.
Now we have honorable mentions that Chris would like just to graze over real quick before we close the podcast.
Yeah, not going to go in depth with any of these, but just college football is so full of great rivalries. I figured they had to be mentioned. Texas versus Texas A&M. Can't wait for that to be rebirthed. Now they're both in the SEC. Last week of the season. Can't wait. Battle for the victory bell. Miami versus Cincinnati.
Yeah, to mention that one.
We got to see that one.
That was awesome.
And man, do they hate each other.
They do.
They hate each other.
They do.
I can't. I sick to my stomach that they killed it off. The Battle of I-75, we went into that already. Toledo versus Bowling Green. LSU and Alabama, great rivalry. The Holy War. Now they're both Power 5 schools. BYU and Utah. I love that.
Oh, yeah.
The Wagon Wheel. Akron versus Kent State. For as booty cheeks as both of those schools are.
It's always a good game.
That is the one game that they're both going to be 0-11 in.
That honestly, if you're not going to call a rivalry the toilet bowl, you call it the wagon wheel.
Yeah.
You call it the wagon wheel.
Oh, my goodness. At some point, we're going to go to that game.
Really
and we're
have
going to
to
be the only people in the state.
We should buy a full. You should you'll wear all Akron gear. I'll wear all Kent State gear.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah, that'd be so funny.
We will be there, though. But, oh, my goodness. Those two schools hate each other.
Oh,
and they're both booty cheeks because that game is their one hopeful. That's their one hope for getting a win.
They circle it for a win. Yeah, that's the only win they circle for.
Michigan versus MSU. I love how chippy it is. There was a fight that broke out this year, and a couple years ago there was another fight that broke out after the game in the tunnel. Love that game. That one's called the Paul Bunyan Trophy, by the way. The next, Paul Bunyan's Axe, Wisconsin and Minnesota. That's another great rivalry. And, of course, he covered it in greater depth. The Rocky Mountain Showdown. Of course, I'm basing it off of recency bias with what happened in the last couple of years, but that's Colorado versus Colorado State. And that's all I got for honorable mentions.
Those are some great honorable mentions, dude. They really are.
And I'm sure there's many more, but you already know we're not going anywhere. We will be at, hopefully, a lot of these someday.
Absolutely. No, I'm not going to call you out or anything, but you said this could be from D1 to like NAIA or JUCO, and you didn't cover any D2 or D3 or NAIA. Now, Chris,
I didn't.
What is your favorite D2 or D3 rivalry?
My favorite D2 rivalry, Ferris State and Grand Valley State.
Oh, that's a go-to. You got to with that one. That one's good.
I feel like, yeah, it's pretty copy and paste and cut and dry, but, I mean, that's the only D2 rivalry that matters. And we'll be there someday.
No,
that's one I want to go to.
No, I will shout out the local one, though. We're pretty close to Finley and Tiffin.
Yes.
Finley and Tiffin, that's always a big
I didn't
deal.
do that one because it just started getting close recently. Because Finley owns that rivalry like 25-3 or whatever. Like Tiffin's only won 3 or 4 times in their history of the rivalry.
Well, since my senior year of high school, I'd say it's been a big deal.
They've dominated.
It's been a
definitely.
big deal, yeah.
Yeah, but I was gonna say it as my second. Division III, honestly, Ithaca and Cortland, and then what was the one that John Carroll and Mount Union?
That's not even rivalry though. Like John Carroll's kind of
It's
close.
not close. It's not close, but they hate each other.
Yeah, and the games are close. So like this year, they only won by like either a field goal or a touchdown.
It was like a touchdown, but the games are close. The series is not. Mount Union owns them. It's
destroys.
It's like 37 or 38-3.
Yeah, they literally won 3 times, and the most recent time was 2017, and before that, it was like never.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don Shula went to John Carroll. Not even he could beat Mount Union. But no, I think just in the aspect of overall hatred, that's a good one. But no, Whitewater, Mount Union, though.
Great playoff rivalry.
Great playoff rivalry. I didn't include any of them because I actually try to do this with a genuine criteria, and it's like it's not as deep rooted in pop culture and in the media.
That's fair.
As other ones.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate because D3 just recently started getting covered really, really well.
Which, I mean, it's only up from here. Like, I do think we'll get – I do see a future where we do get at least one nationally televised D3 game outside of the playoffs. I do think there's a future with that. But I think –
well, I mean, all these D3 teams are, like, signing, like, TV deals now, especially this year. But now it's, like, a paid subscription, and a lot of people hate that because D3 games usually are free.
Yeah. But what I think needs to happen, though, is there needs to be bigger non-conference games. Like, for that to happen –
more money.
Needs to be, it needs to be like
the only team that's really traveling for like I mean like across the country is Mary Hardin Baylor. They're going like up to Wisconsin Whitewater. They're going to play Linfield in Oregon. Like I would love to go see a Mary Hardin Baylor home game against Hardin Simmons in their 9,000 seat stadium where it's like it's you guys look up Mary Hardin Baylor Stadium. It's probably the best, one of the best D3 stadiums.
Oh, it's better than a lot of D2 stadiums, I think.
It's better than maybe some FCS D1.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, it's gorgeous.
Yeah,
got the oil rig Texas money.
Oh yeah. All right, guys, that's all I have for you. Please check out social media. Links are all in description. Please follow us on Spotify. I need to start reminding you guys that we're on Spotify as well. But we are on our way to being fully monetized on this channel. I'm pumped. I'm all about it. A lot of new content, and when I say I have new content coming, I have new forms, new styles of content. I just made a skit. I don't know why I did it. Just got bored. I bought a GoPro to put some GoPro stuff in other people's helmets for amateur. Lots of different stuff coming. Our season's coming to an end. So that only means that I got more time for content and more time for school, thankfully. I need that time. But yeah, guys, that's all we got for you. Chris, close us out, man.
Wherever you're watching this and whenever you're watching it, have a great morning, noon, afternoon, and night. God bless you guys. Stay smart, stay safe, and take care.
We'll catch y'all boys in the next one. Peace.